All right, today I'm talking about using a heavy bag like this to train Wing Chun, Tai Chi, internal martial arts principles. And the main principle we're going to talk about is what they call Peng in Tai Chi, which is the expression of kind of like a buoyant, bouncy, expansionary energy, which also exists in Wing Chun. We just usually don't call it Peng. I'm not actually sure why. I have seen some people in videos refer to it as Peng. But in Wing Chun, we don't really talk about it. We just say, expand, go forward. We give cues for that. I like the word. I think it's helpful to understand what you're dealing with. So, Peng arises when you release and relax your joints. I like the word release because we all tend to grip our joints. So usually, for example, if you have something heavy and you want to push it, if you're not used to doing it, you do this. See, everything's gripped, and you're muscling it, and it starts to hurt everywhere, right? And so as you get better, you start to realize that this has to be released. You have to release the joint. When your grip on the joint is released, then it starts to float like this, and when it floats, then the force, so what I'm doing here is I'm using my body to expand here, and the force is traveling through my shoulder, into my feet, all the way through my body, through all my joints. And it's only because my joints are fully loose. You see, like this. Now, if I do this is me locked up in the shoulder. I lock my knee and my shoulder right now. So here I just lock the shoulder. You can see the shoulder rises, and pushing with my shoulder, it starts to burn right here. So I feel that. I feel tension here. So I relax the tension. Then I monitor my body for wherever else I have tension. Okay, my hip was locked up, so I release that. And then I feel my ankle gripping. I release that. And once everything starts to spin and rotate in its socket, you will be able to hold up quite a lot of weight. So this is the further you push it, the more weight, right? So right now, if I muscle it up here, okay, I can stand up like this and try to hold it. Okay, if I do it like this, it's already in my shoulder, it's pressurized. Now I release my shoulder. Now I feel it in my foot. I feel my foot is heavier. I don't feel force in my shoulder. And one way you can actually tell is that if you watch my shoulder, it's moving in its socket. It's not stuck. Right now it's stuck. I'm holding it in place. Now it's released, it's moving. So actually I'll show on this side. So here I'm holding with my shoulder. My shoulders, even though my shoulder's down, it's not up. This is the worst possible thing you can do, is raise your shoulder and try to push. Now my shoulder is down, but I'm still gripping. Now my shoulder is released. So again, gripping. The bag doesn't move. I try to give it a little bit more weight, so it's obvious. Now I'm holding up a lot of weight. I'm gripping with my shoulder. Release. Now the bag is starting to rotate my shoulder in its socket. Now if I allow my whole body to rotate, I can absorb quite a lot of weight, and I don't actually feel it anywhere. I don't feel it in my shoulder. Every time the bag wants to do something to me, all it does is it pushes the joint around. And the joint is able to absorb all that because there's actually quite a lot of space inside of it. Okay, so now that we have this principle, you can train this principle, my two positions that I like is either Lansao or the Tai Chi Peng position, which is also, I think, pretty closely related to our Tansaos here. If you look at this, it's pretty much the Tai Chi Peng position. It's when your elbow is a little bit, when your forearm is rotated this way out. So it's like this. Your elbow is low, and your forearms are out, and you have this Peng position. You can also train it like a Lansao, like this, Wing Chun Lansao. What I like about the Lansao is the easiest place to train is your bone here, because you want the force to go straight into your joint this way. If you put your forearm here, it's more advanced because now you have to worry about two different joints. So if you put force here, like when we do with Bong Sao, you have to be able to control it here and here. So there's a lot of degrees of freedom. So if you're just starting out, I think it's helpful if you just put your elbow on this thing, make a Lansao, put your elbow on, and you're just pushing with your femur, right? So this part is not active, it's really just the same as this. Okay, but so what's important is that this angle is going straight into your shoulder, so you don't want this, for example, right? This is not pushing. See how that's not in line with my shoulder. So you have this, and you start with feeling of relaxing a joint and feeling the energy. And then as you start to release it and you're able to move it around, there's an interesting thing you can work on here, which is that you can push the bag, but not with your shoulder. This, when I push with my shoulder, it hurts because this is engaging the small muscles of the shoulder. Instead, I keep my frame, I release all the tension here, I have no tension. I'm going to turn my hip. So essentially I'm doing the Chun turn like this. Okay, so this turn, this part does not move. This part is fixed, this frame is fixed. I'm turning my hip and my whole arm is moving with it. It's one static piece. So you release the tension and you turn. I'm standing behind the bag at an angle here so I can actually turn the bag. Like that. So I'm turning the bag. Now, when you feel that, the next piece of this is that you have this piece from the Chum Kyu here, bong, this piece. It's actually very interesting once you put it under load. What you're going to find is that when you have the bong, in order to create the bong, when you turn, the elbow is connected to the hip and the shoulder, right? It all goes together. So this, if I turn, I'm not putting any force into my shoulder, it's very easy. But what I notice is when I have to come back from this position, come back to my, so it's bong and then lan, it's not entirely obvious in the form because you do it without any counterweight. But when you do it with a weight, you'll notice that in order to relieve the pressure of this weight, the shoulder actually has to sink. You feel this? See in my shoulder here? So here, it kind of goes back into its socket as I come down this way. So it's here, bong sao, and it sinks. Do it on this side, maybe it'll be more obvious, and it sinks. Bong sao, and it sinks. So the shoulder, in effect, does a little mini circle. I'm exaggerating it right now, but this whole thing starts to move. So you have this, and then you have sink, up and sink. And I know they tell you in Wing Chun don't raise your shoulders, but what they mean there is that you shouldn't shrug. You shouldn't use your traps to raise your shoulders. You can definitely raise your scapula. Your scapula is this whole thing, this shoulder blade. You can definitely raise this. Yeah, I raised it without raising my traps. This would be raising my traps. This would be raising my scapula. My traps are down, my traps are up. See, so I can definitely do that. So when I do my bong sao, that causes my entire scapular mechanism, my entire shoulder blade to rise, right? So here, it's raised, and then it has to come down from there. As it comes down, it's not just here, it's not just my shoulder rotating, it's down this way. So there's a certain dropping of the scapula that happens from this motion, and once you do it with a weight, you'll feel it. When you do this in this way, you will find that there's actually a circle here. So it goes up and comes back in. It goes out and it comes back in. And then you have to do the whole motion with your body, right? So it goes out, it comes back in. It goes out, it comes back in. So there's almost like a circle here where the hip drives it and then the hip absorbs. So there's all like a circle, like a rod that you can think of that's connecting your hip and your elbow. Okay, like this. There we go. You can start it this way. So when I turn, the rod does not deform. The rod is here, and it's coming back in the same place. What's happening is I'm doing this. The rod is kind of moving up and down in this one position. I'm doing a bad job showing it, but bong sao and then lan sao, bong sao and then lan sao. So the rod is like this. So it's connecting the hip and the elbow. But because your body is turning, it looks like you're doing this. You're not really moving your shoulder around that much, but you are creating enough mobility in the joint for it to absorb the weight. So it's here, even if I stand like this way, so it's clear. Rod. So sometimes I let my shoulder, see right now, I can let my shoulder drift out past the rod, but I don't create any force there. So if I want to create force, I don't want to push from here. This immediately goes into the little muscles of my shoulder. So as I go here, I bring it into line with my hip, and then once it's in line, I can turn my body. So it's here, it's in line, I turn. It's here, it's in line, I turn. So I can allow my shoulder to use all this freedom, right? Somebody can push on my shoulder in any of these directions, no problem. But if I want to push back, or if I want to support force, I can only do it when the shoulder is aligned with my hip. Otherwise, I'm putting stress on all this stuff. So here, again, same thing. So right now it's drifting out of my line of alignment, it's fine. But I don't want to do this. You don't want to throw elbows like this, where there's no support behind your elbow. You want to throw them here, because then this whole thing is behind your elbow. Your body is behind your elbow. So a lot of people will throw elbows like this. There's nothing behind my elbow. See how far away it is from my hip? If it's here, okay, so instead of this, nothing behind my elbow, now it's here. Now it's with my hip. So that's where your body can take force, is when you have this bone going into the socket. Over here, no good, no structure. So same thing here, structure, and then a structure on the way back. The structure on the way out, and the structure on the way back. You can also think of it as like this hip and this thing are related on the way out, and then on the way back, you can think of it as the other hip. The diagonal hip is related to this, so you can see kind of a alignment there. So again, you don't want any of this happening. You don't want it to move off that line. With a line here, it's related like a triangle to both of your hips. So that relationship stays alive, and even if your shoulder moves, you bring it back into that relationship before you want to put any force on it, whether it's absorbing or otherwise. And if you do this a lot, you'll start to feel like there's actually a sphere or a circle inside of your joint, because as it comes out, I'm going to do it on this side, as it comes out, you have to come, you don't want to push from here, right? This is ouch, it's no good. So that it has to do this, it has to go back and down, and from this you can push. Now when it comes back, this is the force coming back into my shoulder. You see how it's coming back into my shoulder? I don't want that. I'm holding it with my shoulder, so I'm going to let this go. Let that force be absorbed. Back, down, go. Back, down, go. So that's the same principle. If you look at what we do in the first section, you punch, you get redirected, you absorb the other person's punch like this. So your shoulder comes back, and then it comes down, and then you're able to punch again. Back, down, clear, punch. I'm exaggerating the first section here. Obviously, no, we're not going to turn that much. But if you want to do a first section Chisao motion, it's back, down. I'm still going that way. Circle. Come back to my strong position. Punch. Just like in Sunam teaches. Where's the strong position? It's from down. So after we do a Bong Sao, we need to go back, down, middle, punch. Same thing in this section. After this, back, down, here. Up, back, down. So doing this with weight really will teach you this very quickly, because you will feel exactly where the force is pressing into your shoulder and where is it controlled by your body. And the goal is to feel nothing. Like when I stand here with this weight, I can pretty much stand comfortably. It's like I'm resting, but I'm not resting on it, I'm not leaning on it. I'm resting here, and the weight's traveling to my foot. And then if I want to move it, I move it from the hip. I don't use the shoulder, that's very difficult. I move it from the hip. From the rotation of the legs. I hope that's helpful.